The Knowledge Valorisation platform connects players in Europe with ambition.
Hello there! Do you also find that the research results are slow to reach the market? Should benefit citizens better? Should we turn into more solutions to tackle climate change and other challenges? The EU Knowledge Valorisation platform is there to change that. Have a look and exchange with like-minded people across Europe to make it happen. Share your best example of a valorization practice and get visibility. Be inspired by what others are doing. Join a community to tackle specific issues. Find advice and guidelines. Take part in workshops and events like the EU Knowledge Valorisation Week. Keep up with latest developments and background studies. There is much for you to discover on the EU Knowledge Valorisation platform. Join us!
So, good morning, everyone. We are coming at the end of this week, Knowledge Valorisation Week, where we have been observing a lot of discussion and webinars about knowledge valorization. And we still have 2 more to go today, and I hope you stay with us to see this webinar, especially called So Locally, Harvest Globally, Business Competitiveness Through Knowledge Alliances. My name is Verónica Benítez Piñero. I am Deputy Head of Units at the European Innovation Council and SME agency here at the European Commission. And I would like to welcome here the 2 persons I'm sharing today the stage with. So on the one hand, we have Markus von Gemmingen-Hornberg. He is joining us online, so this is a hybrid session. He's the Global Coordinator of Publicly Funded R&D at Siemens. Welcome, Markus, and I would like to welcome also Michel Tops. He is the Managing Director of Tops Food, and yes, they are going to give us their experience in this building these strategic alliances between industry and research. I would like, before starting, to remind you that you can join the discussion by asking questions in Slido. You will find the link on the web streaming page. So, having said that, I would like to set up a little bit the scene of what we are going to hear today and why this topic is important for the knowledge valorization. Strategic partnerships are one of the success factors for building and maintaining innovative strength. In this webinar, we can learn about companies' perspective on the challenges and benefits of international and national cooperation between public research and industry. In a context where the economy and the society focus on knowledge, we talk a lot about knowledge economy, we talk about knowledge society, the research institutions, public and private, have gained an even more prominent role as institutions that promote knowledge, production, and also transfer. However, in order to make the circle complete, the organizations have to work hard to attract the actors that are able to use this knowledge that has been generated. On the other hand, we have the industries that they realize that innovation is key for survival and it's key to become competitive. So working together should be a win-win. Industries can bring innovations to market faster and more efficiency, while public research organizations can really benefit from the industry's investments and expertise to develop products. Companies and research collaboration occurs in various ways. We are going to see here those examples. For example, collaborative research, public-private partnerships, joint research, technology infrastructures, and intersectoral mobility, among others. But there are new trends coming in. There is also a growing trend driven by open innovation towards more interactive models, platforms that really facilitate the co-creation, the matching of supply and demand, and innovation. The benefits of the collaboration between industry and academia, it's really obvious, but somehow it's not so easy to get there. Alignment of interest, finding the right contact person, build trust are some of the components of a successful strategic alliance between research organizations and companies. It seems easy, but requires a lot of work from all the actors. From the European Commission and the European institutions, there are several initiatives that have been launched and to push forward and bring closer both worlds. On the one hand, we have well-known educational initiatives such as the Erasmus+. We have financing initiatives like the Framework Programme for Research and Innovation, where we really foster collaboration, or in the case of the European Innovation Council, this transition grant where really wants to bring together the industry and the academia, the research results from academia. On a policy level, the European Commission is working on a code of practice on industry-academia collaboration for knowledge valorization. You will hear more about this. You will see in the Knowledge Valorisation platform more information about this community of practice with the aim of having everybody participating and having a set into this kind of collaboration. This has been a little bit the setup, but with this I would like to welcome the presentation of Marcus about his experience in the research academia collaborations from Siemens. Please.
Thank you so much, Benedict. Thanks for having me, and thanks for having the opportunity to do it online. Sorry I couldn't make it to Brussels today. What is the issue about I want to present to you today? It's about our Siemens Research and Innovation Ecosystem scheme. I would like to tell you what has happened in the last years, basically what made us rethink our innovation scheme, and how this can help not only Europe but the world as such, or out of Europe, to grow innovation and research. Next slide, please. This slide is already meant as one, let's say, pre-information or pre-indication to what I'm going to present to you now. Collaboration is key, and we've heard so many sessions during this week now in the Valorization Week that collaboration is just essential in order to go forward into the future. Next slide, please. In order to show you where we came from or what made us rethink our internal collaboration scheme, which has been running for 2 decades all in all, I'm going to give you some hints here. What created this new scheme? First of all, we saw on the left-hand side that globalization, through globalization, we had an increasing global footprint of research and development. We had a lot of internal organizational changes in the last years. Topics have changed, organizations have changed, and therefore we had some carve-outs, some split-outs, which very strongly touched us when we looked at the money we spent on collaboration, on funding, on research. So one part of this got split apart. On the other side, we saw that academia, back in the days, to be honest, industry was only bilaterally collaborating, using universities as an extended workbench, which is definitely history for many years now. But academia themselves started to drive research more strongly, education, and mainly also tech transfer. So academia itself was evolving. With a lot more global challenges, we can tell today the world is going wild in all directions. So we have a much higher complexity of global issues and needs to overcome these through R&D. Well, and last not least, we saw that collaboration between multiple partners, not only academia and industry, existed already all around the globe, and especially also in Europe. So that's where we came from. That was the history. Next slide, please. So therefore, we thought about, after 2 decades of a bilateral approach. So all in all, on the upper left, you see we had a total of 25 dedicated university collaboration partners. We said we have to proceed. So therefore, we moved from bilateral to multilateral. And if you look at the scheme here, usually you need to have one orchestrator, right? So having said the things about history, we very often use now the key partner universities from the past as a kind of a lead orchestrator. This is basically the reason, because we have a lot of trust in these partners. We also look at research institutes and facilities to get them engaged more strongly into our networks. We also have incubators, startups, which is very important. Although we know we were still lacking behind, for example, the US and UK in that sense when it comes to startups. But Europe is getting better and better there, and we try to support this. One very important aspect is that we have to have an own company site. That's what we noticed in the last 10, 15, 20 years, that it's of key key interest not only to us, but also of key usage to the network partners if we have researchers, Siemens researchers on site. So the local perspective is always necessary. All in all, of course, we have a technological focus. I will show you a little later, which are the key technological areas we are focusing. And then if you look at the left-hand side, of course, other industrial partners, not only big companies, but also SMEs, need to be engaged. And also in the previous session, we heard this aspect as well from Finland and from Croatia. Government institutions, municipalities, and funding bodies need to be integrated in this idea, in this scheme of ecosystems. And having said that, only out of this, we see that we can access the full potential of innovation, bringing customers, partners of all kinds. Next slide, please. What are the key ingredients for the success in an innovation ecosystem? Well, very basically, you could say, but what we noticed in the last years was that you have to have a dedicated account manager. You have to have a kind of a mediator role amongst the different players. So people who really know their story, who really know how to work on innovation collaborations. What is also key is a very direct and open communication. Only if you go in this direction, you will achieve trust, and only out of this you can have like a clear expectation management. Next point here is the trusted networks of technical experts. So if you speak with one voice on ICE level, if you open your industry networks, your industry knowledge to the academia and vice versa, and also to the startups and public players in certain regions, you will get these trusted networks. And last point on this slide, which is probably one of the most interesting and relevant ones, is long-lasting, stable partnerships. What we notice, universities are not looking for one-time, one-shot, once in a while activities from industry anymore. Long-lasting, stable partnerships are the ones you should aim for. Next slide, please. What's in for our ecosystem partners? I will not go into all of the details here, but you can have a look here. You get once you join a Siemens Research and Innovation ecosystem, you have access to our Siemens Open Innovation Platform, which is a digital platform. You can have tech mentoring, direct business contacts to our networks. Jointly, we try to leverage funding opportunities, not only on a national scale, but also on a regional and global scale, European scale, of course. The possibility of international partnerships are growing. And last not least, of course, we also try to aim to get customized access to our partners, to Siemens products and education. Next slide, please. Having said that, where do we stand? All in all, as I said, in the past, we had 25 dedicated universities around the globe. Now we have 16 world-class ecosystems. And we always say They're globally connected, of course, since we are a global company, and somehow the owner of the scheme, but they are locally anchored. So you can see we're spread all over the world. And if I look in direction of the next speaker of the session, we had it in the previous talk or the pre-talk. For example, we are also based in Aachen, which is then going across the border into Belgium, into Leuven. You might talk about this one as well, but you see we are based in Europe, in the US, China, although it's currently very challenging to be honest on the IP side and the over side, but India is there, and you see 16 world-class networks which we try to support, but also looking into it on a local perspective. Next slide, please. If you want to have an overview afterwards, after the sessions, feel free to have a look there. I put the links there, which you can deep dive afterwards and gives you some further insights. What do we do in the local respective networks and how do we proceed? Next slide, please. And those are our so-called company core technologies. All in all, we have 11 of these company core technologies. And these are the topics where we say these are, through our lenses, the technologies of the future. So therefore, in the 16, not all 16 ecosystems cover all 11 topics, but of course there's specialties and dedicated topics in each ecosystem. But that's what we see, how we see the future, and of course there's always inputs from the external stakeholders that make us rethink these technology fields, and therefore this is an, let's say, evolution and evolving system which we use. Next slide, please. That's it from my side. Happy to answer your questions. Hope I could give you an insight into our Siemens Research and Innovation Ecosystem Scheme. Thank you so much.
Marcus, I would like to know, as a first question, how are you able to coordinate such an extended network? What's the role of these key account managers?
Thanks for the question. Well, actually, we're a small team. We're based in Germany. And we have dedicated people in all of these 16 ecosystems. Having said that, it's usually, as I said, we have this kind of lead orchestrator. So therefore, very often, this is a dedicated person sitting at the university, or it is someone from Siemens, a Siemens employee, who is the dedicated person for a specific region or a location. So therefore, it's a central team based in Munich, but with lots of decentral experts and supporting experts, which you can imagine it's not easy. 16 around the globe, totally different countries, totally different regions, totally different time zones. But we've managed in the last 2 years now, since we run this scheme, to keep in touch quite closely. And we're still learning. As I said, we had 2 decades of this bilateral approach. Now it's more this multilateral scheme. We're still learning, we're still growing, but the contact is there, and yeah.
Okay, and you were saying, putting the emphasis on this important, long-lasting, stable collaboration. What is key if someone wants to make sure that the collaboration that they are offering, it would be long-lasting? What do you look at?
I can give you one example. I just got back from Austria, where we have one partner as well. Quite often, a publicly funded research project back in the days is some kind of kick-off element, which helps us to establish a wider collaboration. Therefore, we start small, and then we have like a 2, 3, 4 year collaboration. And out of this, follow-up projects are arising somehow. And then one comes to the other. So therefore, we always say you need to have some, well, let's say historic proof of concept in a way, or proof of expertise. And then it's different ways, may it be through integrating PhDs, may it be through creation of a startup. So as I said, it's not the one thing fits all around the globe element, which creates these long-lasting partnerships. But it's usually like one kickoff element, which then makes us rethink. Let's proceed. And of course, you have to have the people on the business side and also on academia, trustful partners that are willing to invest for more than 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Pre-finance things also. So it's usually not only about fast impact, fast return on invest, but you also always have to have a long-term perspective on this one. Having said that, pre-investment is key, and one comes to the other then.
Thank you. I'm going to put you a question of the audience. It's what about safeguards regarding China and the protection of IP?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, this is really challenging for us at the moment. We have a Siemens legal entity based there, so it's Siemens China Limited, and of course the political situation is not easy. But together with our Siemens colleagues, we're currently step by step trying to find relevant solutions there to hopefully always get the right answers when it comes to IP and then the overall framework. But as I said, global challenges are growing. Global challenges are not only in China. I mean, if you look at Russia, etc., this is quite challenging. And of course, this is an even bigger challenge to the ecosystems we are evolving. Yeah.
Thank you, Markus. So I'm going to, there are still some questions, but I will leave them for the end. I would like to give the floor now to Michel Tops to showcase his example. Michel, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Well, as opposed to Markus, I am representing an SME, and the case I'm presenting to give you an idea of how we are structured. We have Thomas More and KU Leuven as the universities who have been involved. We have Tops Nutrition for Care, which is a spin-off founded together with the universities in 2017, where we are performing research for people in need of care. So food, functional food for people who need reinforcement. And then on the right, we have Tops Foods, who is our production partner under license today. Next slide, please. To give you a little bit of the story how and why we got to this collaboration, because I can imagine that you have an idea and you want to work together as industry and as universities. I had a personal story, and that's how it often starts. My family, my grandmothers were suffering dementia, and I was looking for a natural food solution which could give the strength of fresh food to get better. To be more concrete, grandmother suffering dysphagia, so swallowing problems, malnutrition. And it was, in my case, by coincidence that I came in touch with Thomas More, Lieven de Maaschalk, who is about person-centered care, and engineer Johan Klaas, who is someone who is working in rheology and in microbiology. And Tops Foods as a company is a company who invented a microwave technology which it patented worldwide and which it uses to bring food safety to, in essence, ready meals. And it is at the moment when I was contacted by the universities that everything fell together, and we said we are going to combine technology with person-centered care and rheology. Next slide, please. And in essence, if you look at the market today, if you are suffering malnutrition, often products which are given or are provided are artificial products. And this slide is showing where we, the three of us, wanted to go. So food which again gives you appetite. And that is where it all started for us. Next. And so we came up with fresh reinforced meals with a unique swallowing act activator. And what was important for me as an entrepreneur, I can have an idea, but in our case, this product had to be tested, had to be clinically validated, and coming from an industry of food for retail, I didn't know how I was going to handle that. And it is there that the university is guided. And for example, we performed FEAS research, which stands for Flexible Endoscopic Evaluation of the Swallowing Act. And this has all been guided by the universities, because you can imagine, as a small SME, I did not know, nor did I have the team or the experience to start this. And what you see further on the slide is then the products we came up with. Show a fresh product with cream cheese, fruits, fibers, all natural, to really give strength of food to people in need of care. Next slide, please. So we are targeting people suffering different pathologies and malnutrition, but also pre and post operation reinforcement. And then when we come to the essence in the next slide being shown, for me what was important and what I want to demonstrate to you is that this ecosystem which the universities, KUL and Thomas More, provided to me were very important. I was looking for a community where I could speak about the product, where I could speak to people who were suffering these problems, and in a co-creative way create a product which we knew was right for the market, plus be an ability to perform real-life trials. And there, for example, what is important is that we wanted to test this product. You need to pass ethical commissions, you need to pass family committees, because I could not just have a product and go to market and say to a patient, can you please try this? So it was all guided and coordinated by the universities, which is showing the strength of how an SME can enter into a new market by or through the network of universities. And what was for me even more important is the fact that we can involve young talent from these universities, but also an essential part. And if Lieven or Johan would be listening or are listening at the moment, for me personally as an entrepreneur, the credibility was extremely important, because I can come with a new idea into a new market, and very quickly I will be seen as someone who is looking for an opportunity to gain. And by the fact that there was a stamp, a credibility stamp of Thomas More and KU Leuven during the development of this product, that was a key thing for us to move forward with this project. So it demonstrates the Living Care Lab and how it has helped us to bring a product to the market. Next slide, please. Here we've shown you some of the scientific publications we made. So I believe after the session, the information will be shared for those who would like to read this information. And then we can move to the next slide. Challenges in general, because we were active in the healthcare market. But if you see on the left, the timeline, it took us 10 years. And I believe 7 years of research before we had a product which could go to market. And at the moment still, we are only selling the product locally, meaning only in the Belgian market. So the challenge for us is to upscale it into Europe. And there, what I saw or what I experienced was that there was funding of the project when we were clinically validating, but as soon as you go to market, the product is done, which is obviously not the case, because you want to keep on evolving and you want to enter markets and so on in a very capital intensive industry. Because if we want to scale up the machines we require to do this, it is extremely expensive. And what my personal experience was is that product is developed, clinically validated, and then it stops. And that is something for future participants or innovators or universities working together, go the whole way so that the product can enter market, can enter European market. That is important. Also in the healthcare market, it is often the case, and that's specific for our market, that we come in with a product and people will say, but you're bringing us a new product for malnutrition. Are you saying that our patients are not well taken care of? So all these challenges are there. And it is a market which is today multinational driven. So I hope that this gives a little bit of an insight of how an SME in this case faces challenges, but is also taking steps forward which it could not do without this ecosystem, this living lab.
Thank you very much, Michel. The story of an SME, it's very, very relevant also because there are a lot of entrepreneurs that they really want to go further and they really see the needs. So I have one specific question is, how important is to have the support of a university when you look for funding, financing?
It is, I think, I come back to my presentation. In our case, it is credibility. And if you are looking for funding and you have a university behind you, this gives credibility. But also, I must say that in our case, if you want to, for example, work a European project and you want to write new projects or new sessions, the work to be done to prepare for example, subsidizing, there the university is also key because we do not know how to do this ourselves.
And link a little bit to the presentation of Marcus and his highlight of the long-lasting collaboration and the trust. Can you give some advice on how did you build this long-lasting collaboration with the university? How did you become trustful? What are the key elements to build this trustful relation between both? Because I think in the case of Siemens, it's a very big network, but in the case of an SME, it's very small, and you have to be very careful always in that part.
Absolutely. I think in our case, it was so that it was coincidence that at the time I had a personal experience. I was contacted by the universities and then we get to know each other. In the beginning, you are a little bit holding back because you don't know the project which is presented. Is this viable? But it is by having long sessions together, talking it through, building experience, and especially it is, as always, human driven. So the click or the link or the chemistry between the people had to work, and we started in 2012. In 2017, so 5 years later, we decided to create a spin-off together, which was the key to say it was the marriage saying, yes, we trust each other and now we want to move forward together.
Do you think that the fact of having the patent helped to have the collaboration, or do you think this collaboration would be possible in another more open?
You are pointing to the TOPS microwave.
Yeah, the TOPS microwave technology.
Well, it is because Thomas More and KU Leuven had a very good product, but it was a product to be produced every day again in a kitchen with artistic freedom of a chef. And they were looking for preservation technologies. By the way, it's a Siemens-driven system. And it is because they were looking through the patents that they found us. So it is key, and it links everything together again: innovation, technology, patent, and an SME working together with a living care lab and with those universities.
Good. I'm going to take one of the questions from the audience and say, can you give us some advices to build this relation between university and SMEs?
It is. What should I say? Again, it is a personal link you need to have. You need to feel each other, and you need to have a personal click with the researchers or with the SME. What I always tend to do is you speak to people, you try to get to know them. It's difficult in the beginning, but you have conversations about what you want to achieve, and when you then feel that there is a common ground for development, as an entrepreneur, you jump and it can go wrong, but in our case, it has become, in fact, the startup of TOPS Nutrition for Care as a spin-off of the university.
So I invite now Marcus. Yes, we are going to continue a little bit the discussion. How do you select the universities or scientists that Siemens work with? So beyond the geographical proximity.
What we actually did, we looked at publications, personal networks, historic evolution of projects. So there have been several indicators when we decided how many ecosystems should it be and where should they be. So it was a set of several indicators that came together, and all in all, we had a bigger set of ecosystems on the table. But in the end, we said we have to focus. We have to have an international scope altogether. Although we still have a strong base, of course, as a German company, still in Germany when it comes to R&D. But we then just try to have international focus paired with the expertise we know and we identified, for example, from Scopus or from publications of the relevant players. Yeah.
And I will follow up with the contrary. I mean, how do you decide that the University of Scientists does not belong to the ecosystem anymore?
Well, I think one aspect what came out the last years was this globalization aspect. If you can be as big as a company as you want, and we are truly a big company. We have almost 300,000 employees around the globe. But if you're not locally anchored somehow, if you don't have people at hand in this respective location, it's sometimes, although we are in the digital age, it's sometimes very hard. And I like what has been said from Belgium just now, for example of TOPS. If you're not human driven, and if you don't give like credibility also on a personal level, it probably won't work out, and you won't be able to establish a new ecosystem. So therefore, that's key in our view. Yeah.
Michel, how important are personal motivation and circumstances to create innovative products?
As an entrepreneur, I think that is the essence why you want to change things. So for me, but I'm speaking from a personal experience, it is always the motivator to do things differently. It is that personal motivation. Also, when you get cutbacks, when it is not working as it should, but you continue going, looking at the long-term perspective. And I point again to Marcus. It is also the case that a collaboration with the university, we want to do that for the long term, be in it for the long run. And it is about having cutbacks, but every time again, stand up, move forward and go until you reach your goal, and be proud of making a difference in the world with an innovative product.
So it really gives you that power to go that extra mile,
Absolutely.
especially when things they are not going as planned. That happens
that
quite
does happen.
Quite often, actually, but
Indeed.
yeah.
Yes.
Indeed. For you, Marcus, another question from the audience. What are the difference in working with universities in different countries? So Asia, America. Any tips for European universities based on your experience?
Oh, that's a very good question, actually. I mean, if you really put it like black and white, I mean, everybody's talking about that valorization is somehow being done any better in the US, for example, or in the UK. Good question. I mean, maybe it comes back to what Michel just said. It's human driven. I mean, if you have the right person on the right spot, no matter where you sit globally, things happen. So therefore, our experience is just if you invest in the right people inside your own company, and if you put strong efforts on identifying the right person on the other side, again, this is only possible if you look at it on a long-term basis. Things happen. So I wouldn't do it like black and white in between US and Europe and so on. Quite a tough one, to be honest.
Michel, sorry. Did you mainly deal directly with researchers, or it was more with via tech transfer office?
No, we've always dealt directly with the researchers. Yes.
The tech transfer office had any role in the whole process, the spinning off of the university, of the company? No.
It's maybe we are repeating ourselves, but it was human driven. We felt each other and we said we're going in this together without tech transfer offices involved. So it was direct contacts we made.
And
for us, yeah.
for you, it's the same. You don't involve
Yeah.
tech transfer office. You go directly to the researchers. Okay.
Yeah.
And Michelle, have you ever considered working with scientists outside Belgium? How important is for you the proximity and the language?
Often people say act global, think local, but I think in this case we are open to work with international researchers as well, and it is we are open for that, and we would love to work more internationally also with the product, because we are, as I said, currently focusing only on the Belgian market, and we are exploring Europe, but also on a research level. If the more people we can bring together around the project, the better it would be if they are in it for the right reasons. So we are open for that.
This question is very interesting. Do you find online platforms useful? On which research findings are these platforms where research findings are published, like open science platforms? Do they help you to find partners and develop innovations? That question is for both of you. Marcus, maybe?
Well, as I said, what we did, we used several Elsevier databases in order to get to know about the best experts. If you would like to name them platforms in a way, they are helpful. But in the end, I think online platforms may help when it comes to public funding. They're very helpful. So I really appreciate what the European Commission has done in the last years in the research participant portal. This is moving in a really good direction, looking for partners, looking for funding, looking for research opportunities as such. But all in all, in the end, you have to talk. And digital platforms in that sense are only an add-on to what you want to achieve.
And for you, Michelle, do you think that the people, they should promote their results in this kind of open science platforms? That could be a good way of showcasing them, like in your case, the patents.
I think they should. We as an SME are not really using it often. Sometimes in very specific topics we are looking online and finding ways on technology, for example, so it is useful, but in our specific case now we didn't really use online platforms. I think they are useful.
Mm-hmm. We are running out of time, but I would like to take this question before going to the final conclusions. What are the key skills you would like to see in researchers that would make collaboration with industry more efficient? Marcus, you look.
Again, a very good one. Well, again, I refer to the example of Graz when I went to Austria just the other day. You have to have curricula in the future now, not only Europe but globally, that promote some kind of openness towards not only society but business impact, because we still notice at university that there's excellent players, excellent young talents in their research field, but the idea that this somehow could lead up to an impact to society, namely products and innovations, this is rarely lacking. So we are much promoting this and trying to get into interaction with ministries and associations in order to, let's say, evolve and define curricula of the future to get this mindset into the learning and teaching as such.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to go now to the very final conclusions. Michelle, can you give us some tips, someone that sees it's now in the situation where they have to decide if cooperate with university or not? What would be your final line in that respect?
I would say those ecosystems are critically important, so use them both from industry side as from university side, very useful, and take into account that the credibility really gives you a jump start in the future with the project you are looking at.
Thank you. Marcus, in your case, how would you conclude the session? What would be the key message that you would like to give to anyone that would be interested in creating an ecosystem or in becoming part of an ecosystem?
Okay. Well, I would say if you want to achieve successful collaborations, you have to have a multilateral, a multi-stakeholder approach. Any kind of innovation actors have to be involved. It's the first point. Second one would be, again, I stress this again, on a long-term basis, and only through long-term collaborations among these ecosystems, you're able to achieve trust. And the last aspect, again, is this globalization aspect. Look at it from a global perspective. How can I solve challenges of the future for human beings, for society? But in the end, it comes to the local aspects that you have to strengthen and to reinforce to make things happen in a way. Yeah.
Thank you. From my side, I can say that the outcome of this conversation, one thing that came out very lively, and it's also related to this society that we are facing today, it's human driven. So it's important to get the person, to get the contact, and then to develop this human relation in order to make the things work. And of course, you said that at the beginning, both of you, collaboration is key. If someone wants to move forward, companies, SMEs, big multinationals, they really have to do it together with the other actors in the ecosystem. Otherwise, it's going to be quite difficult. So with this, I want to thank you both for your time, for showing your experience, for showcasing your examples. And I would like to invite the rest of the people to stay tuned and follow the panel discussion on a catalyst for innovation, challenges, incentives, and model for more knowledge valorization. We will continue after a 15 minutes break. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.